In Namibia in the 1770s, before the arrival of Europeans, wildlife numbers were probably around 8 to 10 million. Uncontrolled killing by successive explorers, traders and farmers, along with fencing and veterinary controls, decimated the wildlife to the point where by the 1960s there were fewer than 500,000 animals left. Landowners were expected to sustain but not profit from state-owned resident wildlife, a competition to scarce grazing for their domestic livestock.
In Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, at the time, a seminal study by two Fulbright scholars, Drs. Mossman and Dussman from Humboldt University in California, discovered in a study on the Henderson Ranch that wildlife conservation practices, properly managed wildlife, was worth more in terms of its profitability than domestic livestock.
Across the subregion, authorities began to realize that wildlife conservation on private land was impossible without being of value to the landowner. Conditional rights over consumptive and non-consumptive use of wildlife to the freehold farmer were devolved. This policy led to a change in attitude. Wildlife now had a commercial value. A multifaceted business model, including trophy hunting, meat production, live sale of surplus animals, and phototourism, could be implemented.
About 20 years ago, we've moved to our properties that was in our family, and we've started converting all this land back into pure wildlife areas. We've done a lot of sustenance hunting with some meat hunting clients from South Africa, Namibia. But through the years, we've moved over to sustainable conservation hunting, where we've got international clients. Our main operation is in the central parts of Namibia. We've got two different areas, Veronica and Kalakwa. Together, these areas is about 54,000 hectares. And we've got most of Namibia's endemic animals on these areas. We also operate off some of our neighbors' properties. Many private landowners form conservancies where all the private landowners benefit from hunters being on those areas. Namibia has the largest wild population of cheetah in the world, the same with black rhino, and this is purely because of hunters.
Intact ecosystems are more valuable than ecosystems that are converted. And in Africa, the value of the carbon and the wildlife and the hunting and the tourism is more valuable than turning it into just beef commodity production.
Wildlife is an economically more attractive, competitive form of land use than conventional farming in the arid and semi-arid landscapes of Namibia. Environmental impact diminishes considerably and biodiversity increases significantly. But up until independence in 1990, Namibia's rural communities had been excluded from this conservation strategy.